And now it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Reverend Thomas DeSchutter, who is going to facilitate our beautiful, special white stone ceremony. Last week, we came together in a powerful release, letting go of old patterns, limiting beliefs, and anything that no longer serves our highest good. It is our greatest pleasure to welcome Reverend Thomas, the spiritual leader at Unity Vancouver Island. He will be guiding us through the next steps on this spiritual journey. Unity's White Stone Ceremony, a beautiful tradition that invites us to step into the freedom and possibilities of new beginnings. Reverend DeSchutter brings a wealth of experience in music, business, personal development, blending practical wisdom with spiritual principles to inspire individuals in discovering deeper meaning and purpose. His uplifting and engaging style, which many of us witnessed at the beginning of the service, invites us to open our hearts and minds to transformative ideas, creating meaningful shifts in our lives. Welcome, Rev. Thomas.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for that lovely introduction. And once again, just thank you to everybody for being here. And I also want to applaud the Unity Kitchener team for not freaking out and panicking and getting all crazy when technology doesn't work, because I believe if we stand, and I'll use strength, since we highlighted it already today, standing in our strength and being grounded and inviting people to move through something with us, we can actually calmly and successfully get to the other side of something, be creative as we are as humans, and still enjoy whatever, especially if we have the willingness to let go at, oh, this is supposed to go a certain way. Like, oh, I had it that this was going to happen this way and it didn't, so now I'm annoyed, as opposed to being in that place of loving, open acceptance that life is going to show up however it's going to show up, and we get to be a part of it. You know, we can experience it from that place instead of all of those emotions that might stir within us that we feel like we somehow need to now dump that on other people. So thank you, everybody, for your patience through all of that. I appreciate it. And so before we get into the white stone, I want to encourage everybody, if you have within your grasp a white stone, that's great. If you don't and you have a piece of paper, that's great. If you have a writing utensil, that's great. All of those things. And if you don't have any of those things, guess what? It's still going to work. It doesn't have to be exactly the way we're doing it. It has to be exactly the way you're doing it. And I'll also go back to the word for January, the power of faith in this. And faith is not in, some God or some belief system, at least for me. Faith is that knowing truth within inside me that I allow myself to be led by. That's what faith is to me, is knowing that truth and allowing it to be expressed and to love it and appreciate it and trust in it. So that's what we can do. So we'll now move into, just have that stuff ready. We're going to do a meditation and we'll come out and we'll find a nice word for everybody. And maybe you already have one. Some people may have already done this at another New Year's celebration. But the great thing about being, because, I'll talk a little bit now about this idea of a word for the year. It's really about beingness. It's who am I being? Because there's doing, and I'm sure we've all done and we all do, and we're all looking to what do we need to do. And maybe that just doesn't end up getting what we really want in life. I'm trying to avoid saying do, but it's like, it's hard, right? We do and we do and we don't seem to get Has anybody had that experience? Right? Yeah. And there's a reason for that, because I believe, and this is just my own thinking, is I don't think we're here to do. I think we're here to be. And when we come at life from a place of beingness, like who are we being? How are we showing up? Again, we can just go back to how Cheryl and Marilyn and the team handled things this morning. It came from who they were being, not what they were doing. They put the being first, and that guided the doing, as opposed to the other way around. We need to be something. And so the word for the year is a great idea. We can establish that for ourselves, but we also want to understand that we can create that every moment of every day. We can be. We can choose who we're being, what we're doing, how we're going to approach it, what we perceive. And that is the same process, whether we're gathered for a ceremony such as this and making it something really meaningful for ourselves. We can do that every second of every day. We can choose a way of approaching whatever there is to approach in our lives. And we're all different. We all have a different understanding of what we're here to do. And yet we come together as that, I love that song, One Voice. We come together as one voice, but we all have our independent way of being and then doing things in the world from that place of beingness. And I hope that makes sense to everybody, that this is the truth we're establishing. This is a fundamental of unity teaching in my mind, is that, principle number 3, our thoughts create our experience. Principle number 5 is you act, right? So what comes first there is the being. Then the activity follows suit. So when we decide to show up, for example, as love, opening up our hearts and being wide open and taking that risk that somebody might stamp all over us, that's entirely possible. But I'll bet you'll find that when you do this, when you open yourselves up and allow life, there will be more people that are aligned with that way of being, that appreciate you and love you for that way of being, than the 1 or 2 people that might come along and stamp. And so that is what this is about today. We are inviting, we are invoking, we are moving deeper in within ourselves to make a clear statement for ourselves going forward. And then I'd like you to imagine that you can select a word that might fill that void. I understand you did the burning bowl ceremony and you let something go. Well, space is like a vacuum. As soon as something is released, it wants to fill it up. And so that's what this is. This is that opportunity to have let something go in our lives and then allow something new to come in and be that for us. And so we can take that and actually move forward for this year. And what I invite us to do is to then, as soon as we establish that, to let it go, to know that it's a place card. It's already done. There's a scripture that all is already given. And that comes to that faith piece as well. When we operate from a place of understanding that I am 100% taken care of, all is already given. What we're really saying is I just need to move out of the way. I need to be that allowing spirit that allows life to unfold. And we do that by having our challenges. Anybody here had any life challenges? Just curious. Right? Well, what we want to do is we want to transcend those challenges as we raise our consciousness, and we transcend and include. So what does that mean? That means that when we transcend that experience, we include the wisdom that is gained from that experience. Another one of our 12 powers is wisdom. So we include that. So we transcend and we include that. And I heard this, I don't remember where I heard this from, but when we actually overcome our challenges, when we have truly integrated something and gotten to that place where we can let it go, that's called wisdom. When we hang on to it, that's called suffering. And it's when we overcome that suffering that the wisdom of the experience is now something for us. You know, and that's for anybody that has kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews or younger people that they're with. A lot of times we want to share our wisdom with them. Why? Because we've gone through something that looks similar to what they're experiencing, and we've come out the other side of it, and we actually have some truth wisdom that we can share with them. Now, we might also experience that they're not open. I don't know if anybody's experienced that, but they're not really open to receive it. So there has to be willingness, you know, in communication. There's two parts to communication, right? There's the, of course, getting your point across or getting your message across to somebody. But there's also understanding that they actually want to receive it and they have received it, right? That's the both sides of communication for somebody that wants to communicate to others. And so we have this opportunity again to make a word for ourselves. I want to bring it back to our purpose here, which is to have this white stone ceremony and to create for ourselves. And I thought I would read from Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, The Revealing Word. The Revealing Word is like a little pocket dictionary for metaphysical interpretations of important, I would say that it's probably the fundamental importance of unity taken from, and I don't know if you've all ever seen this, but I'll share it because I'm a bit of a nerd. Although most people would say I'm a drummer, so I'm cool, but no, I'm actually a bit of a nerd. The Metaphysical Bible Dictionary that I have, that Charles wrote, like, this is ridiculous that somebody would create this from every word or every place, every name, and every idea in the Bible has been interpreted metaphysically by Charles. And the Revealing Word is sort of like the pocket dictionary version of that. So I found this fascinating when I looked up the white stone. On that page is, so it's stone, comma, white, and that comes from Revelations. When we redeem ourselves from bondage to sense, we shall be sustained by the inner or spiritual food, otherwise known as the hidden manna, which is understanding of truth and which is the foundation, a white stone, upon which we build up and develop our true Christ self. So that for me is saying that as we develop our truth, as we understand it, we are living our Christ consciousness. We are going within. You know, there's that scripture that do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Because where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Well, that is, you know, what did Jesus say? That the treasure, heaven, is within us, right? So we're not here to gather and accumulate stuff. And although that's great and wonderful and we can have a good time doing that, what we're really here to do is that beingness, to gather that beingness within us. The treasure is within us. And where our heart is, where our treasure is where our heart is. So let's put that treasure here. Let's focus on our inner work for each of us to do. And that's what coming up with a white stone ceremony, to be given a new name, to have released something, to be given a new name from that. That's what that teaching is. Now, on that same page, right below that, is strength, which I find interesting since we've already brought strength up twice before. So I'll read it here. The energy of God, freedom from weakness, stability of character, power to withstand temptation, capacity to accomplish. Strength is physical, mental, and spiritual. All strength originates in spirit, the thought and the word spiritually expressed being the manifestation. So our thoughts and our words being the manifestation. So it's what we're being that manifests in the world. We can say all the nice things we want. And we, there, what's that saying? Know me by my actions, right? Your words are, our words are our foundation, and our words have an ability, of course, to speak into the world and create things. But really, what is true for that person, what is true for each of us, is what we act upon. And that's where that beingness is so foundational, because who we're being will act out in the world. That true beingness within us. And then just below that is subconscious mind, and then substance. And I think Cheryl mentioned substance in one of the readings this morning. And those two for me go so hand in hand in unity teachings, especially. So the subconscious mind, the memory crystallized into function and form. So even when Charles wrote this back in the 20s, to think of the work that Joe Dispenza, for example, does today in the world, this idea that we can rewrite our minds. We have this plasticity of our brains, that new frequencies can be aligned, new pathways can be given within our brain. It's called neuroplasticity, and we can restructure our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own images in our brain. We have that ability, and the subconscious mind is the key. So some of Joe Dispenza's work, for example, is going to bed at night. Before you go to bed, you put into your thinking not your latest Netflix binge, but after that. So I'm not suggesting you don't do that. After that, what there is to do is to center yourself for a few minutes on the ideas and the frequency of what it is you're inviting into your world. And that, when you sleep, begins to rewire your subconscious mind. The subconscious, what did Charles put here? It is the home of our habits, the storehouse of our past thoughts and experiences. It carries on all the bodily functions, such as circulation, breathing, digestion, and so forth. And it does it without us even thinking, without us even having to be aware of it. Those things are happening. You've all been breathing as we've been moving through this hour together, without thinking about it. Your eyes have blinked. Like, all of this stuff has gone on, and that's all in our programming. Well, also what is in our programming is the thoughts that come up a lot. And the more that we ruminate on those things, the more our subconscious brings it to the forefront. And there's this, I remember when I was a kid, somebody said that if you wanted to buy a Volkswagen Bug, then suddenly wherever you are, you'll see them everywhere. Right? Because your brain is like this seeking and finding machine, right? Well, it's not that all of a sudden a whole bunch of Volkswagen Bugs moved into your town the next day. They were always there, but you're now pinpointed on them. Your ideas are like, oh, I got to find this thing. And that's what your subconscious is doing for you. So this is so great. We have the ability to rewrite that programming. This is what prayer and meditation is for. This is what creating a white stone is for, or a word for the day, or making an I am statement to settle into that moment. Bring into your consciousness and awareness a clearing, and speak from that place of truth that says, no, I don't have to act this way. Actually, this is who I am. This is who I am. I am love. I am appreciation. I am blank. Fill in the word. And then take a breath and now approach what it is you're doing from that place, from this place of beingness instead of doing. You know, this idea of life lifing us, coming at us, and we're just reacting. So from subconscious mind, I'll just finish up. Charles wrote, the work of overcoming is carried on largely in the subconscious mind. All past thinking must be redeemed and the whole person, conscious and subconscious, brought into the harmony of the Christ consciousness. And if you follow somebody like Joe Dispenza or the science on what is happening in mind research, you know, Charles nailed it. He actually nailed it in the 20s. He's pretty bang on. And then next we have substance. The divine idea of the underlying reality of all things. Substance is everywhere present, pervades all things, and inspires to action. It underlies all manifestation and is the spiritual essence, the living energy out of which everything is made. And I think of 1909, The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace D. Wattles. There is this thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates and penetrates the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. That is our experience of life right there. What you ruminate on, you will see it. You want to talk about all the problems in the world? You're going to find a whole bunch more. You want to talk about all the love in the world? You're going to find all the love in the world. That's what there is for us to do. If we want a certain level of experience or consciousness of life. And you don't have to. Like, what I'm saying here is, I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm not trying to say this is what you need to do. I just have come to the place that if we want a certain experience in life, whatever that is for you, well, there's a path to seeing it. There's a path to experiencing it, and there's a path to receiving it. And it's all on you and your choices. It's not on anybody else. I kind of feel like I'm done. Yes, I think that's good. That is a good place to leave us to move into our meditation and to invoke within ourselves that word, that short phrase that we want to stand on as a word for this year.
I've seen my share of struggle when I thought that I knew best, when I've sailed through a storm instead of stopping to rest. And it always seems the hardest when I've made up my stubborn mind. Well, I'm changing my ways this time. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. Have you ever seen an eagle head straight into the wind? He doesn't pick a fight, he spreads his wings and just gives in. And in the end he always makes it home just fine. I guess Yes, he knows that every storm subsides. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill, no more crying bound for the sea. I'll let nature take its course. No more thinking that I know where this river's meant to go. I have railed against the stars for the cards that I've been dealt, for the lottery I've never won, for the heartache that I've felt. But it always seems when I let go of expectation and regret, life has plenty of surprises for me, yeah. I wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill, no more crying bound for the sea. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill, no more iron bound for the sea.
And with that, I invite all of us to gather our stone, if you have one. If you don't, open up your imagination and imagine that you are holding that stone in your hand. I invite you to allow yourself to let go of all the things we've discussed. Whatever was happening before you came into this space, and bring yourself fully present to this moment. You can do that easily with a nice deep breath in and a nice long, slow exhale as you let go. You can do a few more of those nice breaths and allow yourself to be settling in. And if you're comfortable, please close your eyes. And if that's uncomfortable, then find a place where you can focus your vision and soften your gaze, allowing your body to relax and your mind to quiet. And now bring your attention to the steady rhythm of your breathing as we enter the stillness. And as you breathe, feel the presence of peace filling your heart. As you breathe in, feel that presence of peace. And as you breathe out, let go of any worries or distractions, allowing that peace. And just imagine right now that you know yourself to be in a sacred space, a place where you feel completely at ease, connected and safe. And if you like, you could even imagine right now that you are in a forest amongst trees, maybe a quiet brook nearby babbling along. There's a breeze through the trees, the leaves, you can hear them fluttering. And in that movement, the sunlight flashing in and out as the trees sway. You're in this place of relaxation You're in this place of light. You're in this place of truth. And you are at ease. You feel connected. And you have in your hand your white stone, either real or imaginary. You can feel it. Whether it's round or smooth, maybe it has some jagged edges. But you're holding within your hand earth, something that has transformed itself into this stone that you now hold in your hand. At one point, this was liquid, molten, flowing. It has within it the dust of the universe. And you realize how connected you are to this, that you too are made up of the dust of the universe. And so in this idea of this white stone, you can also see that it represents a fresh start, a clean slate with infinite possibilities. And in this moment, it's here as a guide. And as you hold it, you can silently ask, what is the word that will be my guide for this year? What will guide me on this journey? What is truth that I can stand in? Strengthen, imagine, love. Just allow that to sit with you. So a word or a phrase, a feeling may begin to emerge. It might be a whisper or an image, a clear thought. Trust what arises. Don't need to analyze it. You don't need to wonder, I wonder if that's right. Is that how I really feel? This is that faith portion. Know that you know exactly what is being called forth. once you have your word surfaced, I want you to just imagine it being inscribed gently on the stone. Feel its energy. Feel it radiating in your being. Feel it filling you with purpose. This alignment with your truth. Feel the strength of knowing, yes, this word is my guide. It aligns perfectly. And as you soak that in, as you feel that energy within you, that frequency, that vibration, that response from going within, I invite you to bring a smile to your face, to allow yourself to feel that goodness of who you are. And as you're ready, you can gently bring yourself back. You can open your eyes. If you have a stone, you can write on that stone your word. If you have one in your imagination, you can see that you've written that word on your stone. If you have a piece of paper, you can use that as your surface for writing. And I invite you to place it somewhere visible, especially for the next week, to remind you of your intention, to be a placeholder of guidance, if you will. And as we come to the present, I'd like to leave you with a closing affirmation. And you can repeat this out loud to yourself. I step into this year with clarity, courage, and an open heart, guided by my word and the light of spirit within me. Namaste, everyone. And I think if you'd like to share your word in the chat, nothing like making it real. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. It's so great.